Well, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know there's a number of more people popping on here, and hopefully not with technical difficulty, but if so, I can send a quick invite again to anyone having some challenges here. Perfect. So good morning, or maybe good afternoon to those who are in Mountain Time. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really have to say that I am so excited to be here with all of you. This is the first of 4 networking opportunities for all the Idaho National Diabetes Prevention Programs. So I want this time to be informal, so please feel free to ask questions or make comments as we go along. Feel free to use the chat box. You can raise your hand and hopefully I'll see you there, or you can just unmute and jump in. And then we're also going to have time at the end for any questions that may arise. So feel free to ask those questions or make those comments as we go along. So I'm really excited to provide some information for you. So let me just introduce myself first. I'm the chair of the Diabetes Alliance of Idaho, the DAI, and we're a nonprofit devoted to raising awareness of diabetes and diabetes prevention in Idaho. I'm also the Idaho Master Trainer Select. So in that role, I train coaches for the National Diabetes Prevention Program throughout Idaho. I provide technical assistance and training and program support. So I'm available to all Idaho National Diabetes Prevention Programs for any of your needs, and for those of you who are interested in learning more. So our objectives today, we're going to discuss the updated National Diabetes Prevention Program Customer Service Center, the new hemoglobin A1C reporting option, how the latest updates to the public health emergency waiver affects our national diabetes prevention programs, and then we're going to talk about opportunities for advanced lifestyle coach training. And in addition, we're going to have an opportunity to hear from you, to hear successes in your programs, to hear needs for your programs. This is an opportunity to connect with one another, not just with me. So I want to make this interactive here. So we're going to start with the updated National Diabetes Prevention Program Customer Service Center. And some of you may have never been to the Customer Service Center, and some of you may be regular users of it. So if so, I wanted to give you some updates on this. They have really updated and made their website look quite a bit different, and it's much easier to find what you're looking for. So if you've gone on there and struggled before to find materials or resources that you're looking for, I think they've done a really good job in creating an ease for that. So you can access a lot of the features without creating a profile, but if you do create a profile, I would encourage you to do that. It's free, and you'll have access to all their resources that are available. So at the very top of the page, you can see here, there's drop-down lists, one of them titled resource topics. That's the number 4 that you see there. There you're going to find the most common topics. You can also use the search bar that's at number 9 there for specific topics of interest. You can just type in keywords, a topic. That large square button on the right middle of the page, number 11, that's going to hold the most recent information posted to the Customer Service Center. And then below that 12, these are the critical resources for your program, such as a quick link to the National Diabetes Prevention Program curriculum, a quick link to the DPRP standards and operating procedures handbook. We're going to look at a few of these features in more detail. So that quick look down there, those key resources that are available to you, those are the most current DPRP information. You've got the DPRP standards, you've got the National DPP Coverage Toolkit. If you've never taken a look at that, there's a lot of resources in there for marketing and reaching out to healthcare providers, communicating information about your program. You're also going to find a link to the curriculum and all the handouts that go with the curriculum. That's the easy, quick link to the newest curriculum. There's frequently asked questions on CDC recognition, so a lot of good information there. And then opportunities for advanced lifestyle coach training. We're going to talk a little bit more about that too. And then just some basic CDC COVID-19 information for you. One of the features that you must have a profile to access is the calendar of events. This is a fabulous resource for all things related to your program. Every month, the DPRP holds office hours where there's a different topic discussed. This is held every third Tuesday of the month at 11 o'clock Pacific time or noon Mountain time. And then occasionally there are special topics at different times. The events are recorded and you can find them under the title name back at that drop down resource topics where we were at on the home page of the Customer Service Center. You can just take the title of that event and then pop it in there and you'll be able to see the recording and any handouts and slides available with it. So topics of discussion in 2022, they talked about transitioning to the 2021 DPR standards. That was a real critical webinar. And if you're still looking at all the ins and outs of the new DPRP standards, that's a great webinar to go to. Data entry webinar talking about the DPRP reporting and how you enter that data. Organizational capacity assessment. So if you are new and you're considering starting a diabetes prevention program, going through that organizational capacity assessment, there's a great webinar that talks about all the important aspects of that. Technical assistance for success. So it talks about how they're available for technical assistance and what they can provide. Understanding and managing sequences. So when you look at your evaluation reports from DPRP, they're in sequences. And so sometimes it's a little challenging to understand that. That's a great webinar to explain that. Implementing strategies to achieve better outcomes with just fabulous information there. New organization orientation. If you're new, great way to get oriented. There's one talking about the lifestyle coach requirements and responsibilities. Understanding the DPRP evaluation report webinar. So if you've gotten that evaluation report and you think this is not spoken in your language, it really helps, this evaluation webinar helps explain the process of that. The DPRP state report, information on what's happening in different states, and then umbrella hub arrangements, information on that. So a lot of variety of topics. The 2023 topics are not out yet, but I know they're going to cover a lot of different topics that are important to the Idaho DPP programs. And so some of the different ones that they hold, in addition to their monthly ones, they put out some different topics. Like right now, December 20th is going to be a live demonstration of the DPRP data portal. So if you've if you are the coordinator for your DPP program and you're the one who inputs the data into DPRP and uploads it into the portal, you've probably seen it's more than just a push of a button. There's a lot of different things. It's great because once you upload, they will evaluate, do a pre-evaluation there and identify errors or potential errors or different things that may need to be addressed for you. But it is a little bit challenging. So I wish it were just the click of a button, but it's not. So this is going to be a great demonstration. I've seen them before of walking through the entire process of what to expect. So that's a great one if you are able to attend that or have questions on that portal process. So another really fabulous resource is the updated personal success tools. If you've never used this with your participants, it's a wonderful resource. So these are a collection of fun and interactive videos and games and quizzes and other resources for your participants. They're free for the participants. They're really easily accessible either on a computer or a smartphone or a tablet. Program participants can be sent these motivational modules that are tailored to the session that's being covered, and it really reinforces the program content kind of in that timely manner. If you're looking at ways to interact with your participants between sessions, this is a great way to interact. There's a guide that shows you how to use the tool. And if you're using the new Prevent T2 curriculum, which we could talk about at one of these sessions too, there are links to the videos in each one of the lessons. So the participant can get to that. If you're sending these lessons virtually or electronically, they can just click on the link there and it'll take them to these personal success tool modules. So some of the resources on the CDC customer service site include new recruiting and retention promotional materials. So these materials can be adapted for social media, for websites, for TV, for radio, and all of the resources are free and customizable for your program. So if you have not reviewed these materials lately, I really encourage you to do so. Marketing our programs is critical to recruitment, and so they've got some new marketing strategies out there. So that is my brief update on the changes and the look to the new Customer Service Center. What questions do you have for me about the Customer Service Center before we move on? Or have any of you used it before? Feel free to put something in the chat, just unmute yourself, ask a question. Okay, I would love if you guys have access to that, raise your hand. How many of you have used the Customer Service Center before? A couple? Okay, okay, great. Again, if you haven't been on that site, it's just chock full of valuable resources. And now that they've organized it in a much easier manner, I encourage you to go on there and look around for different opportunities for resources. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is using hemoglobin A1C to meet the DPRP program requirements. This is new. So in 2021, the DPRP Standards and Operating Procedures Handbook introduced new options for obtaining and maintaining CDC recognition. And one of these options is capturing your participants' hemoglobin A1C before and near the end of their cohort. So the DPRP standards state that for full recognition status, organizations must show that at least 60% of the completers achieved at least one of the following outcomes. It could be a 5% weight loss 12 months after the cohort began. It could be at least 4% weight loss and at least 150 minutes a week on average of physical activity that's reported in those 12 months after the cohort began. Or new, it could be at least a 0.2% reduction in baseline hemoglobin A1C. That's recorded within 1 year of enrollment. So only participants who enter the program with that glucose test value within the pre-diabetes range of 5.7 to 6.4 are going to be able to use that option. So the initial hemoglobin A1C value should be taken within a year before entering the program, but it has to be reported within 14 days of your first session attended by the participant. So you need to get that on that DPRP report within 14 days of that first session. And then a final hemoglobin A1C value must be collected and submitted prior to that final submission date for your cohort. So that hemoglobin A1C value needs to be included in the last session that's recorded, and it needs to be recorded somewhere in that 9 to 12 months. And what's interesting is the DPRP uses a combination of all three in their evaluation. So you have to have a minimum of 60% of your participants meeting any one of these three options for full recognition. And I think that's great that they're giving us some more options for meeting that recognition. We've talked long about hemoglobin A1C maybe being a better indicator for the progression of our participants and moving their risk out of that type 2 diabetes range. And so now they've allowed this, and they've allowed it as a combination. So you don't have to have all your participants meeting that, but any one of these combinations within 60%. And there's really a good example of how this works in the DPRP standards Appendix D. So if you go to that handbook and you go down to Appendix D, it really shows you a good picture of how this works. So what questions do you have on this new hemoglobin A1C reporting opportunity that we have? You guys are quiet. I can understand, but feel free to ask questions, feel free to make comments. Is anybody using this in their reporting? Have they been collecting hemoglobin A1Cs? You want to give a raise of your hand if you have done that, or you're planning to do that maybe with your next cohort? Yeah, great. Perfect. There's some. Good. Yeah, I really want to see how that helps us with our recognition status. And again, as diabetes prevention program coaches and coordinators, we understand the importance of seeing some of these changes that really make a difference for our participants. Okay. So we're going to talk about the National Diabetes Prevention Program. They've revised the guide for maintaining or reinstating recognition during the public health emergency. So there's been some changes. In the past, as each public health emergency waiver has been extended, the CDC has just sort of extended their waivers in terms of reporting, and that's all changing. So back in October of 2022, the CDC discontinued recognition for ongoing organizations at the time of their data submission if certain things are occurring. If they have not been in contact with the DPRP since the beginning of the public health emergency in 2020, if there's been they've been unreachable by the DPRP team after multiple attempts, if they have data that's due but they have not submitted that data. So when an organization though is ready to begin offering the lifestyle change program again, a new application for CDC recognition needs to be submitted. But at that time, their previous recognition status will be restored. So if you had some data to submit and you weren't able to submit during the public health emergency because you weren't able to recruit or you weren't able to meet, weren't able to go virtual, any of those options, and you've just paused your program, you'll be able to get back to that status again, but you will have to resubmit an application. So also the CDC is going to discontinue recognition for organizations that have received CDC recognition, but again, we're not able to begin a cohort after that first data submission. So organizations really should contact the National DPP Customer Service Center. Remember, we were back on that Customer Service Center at the beginning. There's a great link right there, contact us. So you want to contact them, you want to give them the date of your first cohort, either it began during the public health emergency or it's going to start, and then they're going to adjust your approval and your effective dates to align with that first cohort start date. So your effective dates will change. That's going to be really important because this is going to result in a revision of your data submission timeline. So if, for example, but again, if this was not completed by October 22nd, recognition for those organizations are revoked. So if you were recognized and you never started your first cohort, you need to contact them. If you were recognized, you started a cohort, but you had to pause during the public health emergency, still again, reach out to them because some adjustments to your submission timeline are going to happen. And so what's interesting about this, though, is this guidance is going into effect even if there's further extensions on the public health emergency. So the CDC is no longer gonna keep with our extensions. But note that while we're still under the public health emergency, in-person organizations are still allowed to hold virtual sessions. That hasn't changed. Any cohorts that began virtually during the public health emergency will be allowed to complete virtually. So, but we still want to code those sessions as makeup sessions. So if you're an in-person program and you've moved virtually because of the public health emergency, those need to be coded as makeups, even though you're doing them all and they're not really makeups to you. That's how they're coded. So if you've been delivering virtually and you're an in-person, you're using your in-person organizational code during the public health emergency, and you've decided to switch permanently to virtual or distance learning delivery, you will need to apply for a new org code for the new delivery mode. But DPRP is going to award temporary preliminary recognition until you have enough data to be evaluated, and then for permanent recognition under the new org code. So if you want to take your in-person and you want to make it permanently virtual or distance, you can do that. You just need to apply, and you're going to get awarded that preliminary recognition until you've got enough data submission. So if you are a Medicare diabetes prevention care provider, supplier, you don't have this option if you wish to continue to deliver virtually to your Medicare beneficiaries. So right now you're in person, you're delivering temporarily to the Medicare beneficiaries because of the public health emergency waiver that you have. But if you decide to switch permanently to a virtual or a distance delivery, you won't be able to provide for your Medicare beneficiaries in a virtual or a distance learning mode. So CMS will only reimburse organizations using in-person organizational codes, even though they're currently allowing this unlimited virtual sessions during the public health emergency. Yes, they make it easy for us, don't they, to understand all of this. So what questions do you have about this public health emergency guidance and what's happening with the recognition status? No questions. Oh, wait, here's one. So if we were approved for in-person, if the public health emergency is still in effect, can we start with virtual delivery? Yes, as long as the public health emergency is still in effect, you can continue to start cohorts that are virtually, and you may finish them even if they stop the public health emergency and you've got a virtual cohort going, you can finish that cohort. And you can have your Medicare participants in it because of the public health emergency, but you have to code everything as a makeup. It's considered, every session is considered a makeup. And that tells them you're in person, but you're delivering virtual through the public health emergency as a makeup. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you need any more clarification on that. Thanks for that question. I know they like to make things super easy for us, but we can work through it and we can figure it out, especially as a group. All right, so I'm going to move on. And I'm going to talk a little bit about advanced lifestyle coach training. So beginning with the new 2021 DPRP standards, lifestyle coaches needed to obtain 2 hours of advanced lifestyle coach training every year. This is in addition to the original 12 hours of lifestyle coach training that you received originally to be a lifestyle coach. Now it's 2 hours additional. So this advanced lifestyle training can only be offered by a training entity listed on the National DPP Customer Service Center. So I have them up here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 13 of them. Right. So I did a quick search a week or so ago of all the training entities. I went onto every website, looked at what they had to offer, and just found very, very few. A handful of them offered any kind of training. Most of them didn't have any current training available. 2 of them had the most training, and that was ADCES and DTAC, the Diabetes Training and Technical Assistance Center. Both of them had multiple opportunities for advanced training for coaches. The 2 hours of training needs to be obtained during your organizational program yearly schedule. So what that means is you follow a yearly calendar based on your organizational start date. So, you know, you've got that start date, which gives you your data submission timeline. That's what you need to follow, not the January through December calendar. So the yearly starts with your organization first data submission. So for example, so this all happens after May 21st. So from that point on. So for example, if your organization made data submission, say this last July of 2022, then your coaches will have until July 2023 to complete your advanced coach training. So it's on your organizational calendar, not the January through December calendar. Different organizations can use one of the CDC accepted organizations to provide advanced lifestyle coach training for their members. And so the DAI does just that. We contract with an accepted CDC training entity to provide virtual advanced lifestyle coach training every year. So if you're a member of the DAI, this training is free. If you're not a member of the DAI, the training runs somewhere between $20 to $50, depending on if it's a 1 hour or a 2 hour or 1.5 hour training. So if you want more information on the benefits of a DAI membership, you can find information on our website at diabetesallianceofidaho.org, or feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to chat about the DAI, anything related to diabetes prevention. So advanced lifestyle coach training, what questions do you have about that?
Dorothy, this is Leslie Blanche. Can you repeat?
I know some questions come up, you know, what do I do? Where do I record this? Do I submit this to the CDC? They're not asking for submissions of that 2 hours of training. They're asking for you to keep it somewhere in case of an audit. So be prepared for an audit, but they're not asking for any of that to be submitted. So that's often a question on that advanced 2 hours training with that. And the 2 hours of training need to be related to something around your skills, or something that will provide you invaluable resources as a diabetes prevention program coach. So a lot of you are in wear other hats. You might be a dietitian, you might be a nurse, you might be, you know, a number of different vocations, and you're obtaining continuing education credits in that vocation. Well, that's not going to count for your advanced lifestyle coach training. It has to come from one of the 13 entities that was listed on the website, the customer service website, or you know, somehow through those entities, whether it's another organization that contracts with that entity like the DAI does, or you go directly to that entity. So those are specifically noted as advanced lifestyle coach trainings. So I want to take a little bit of time to chat about your programs here. So one of the purposes of doing these quarterly meetings, and there's going to be 4 of them, is to just be able to get some valuable resources and information out to you, for you to let me know what resources and information you want to know more about. And also to have a time to network together. So we've got a number of diabetes prevention programs represented here, and you're all doing different things, and probably a lot of you are in different stages. Some of you are still pending, you just started, others are in full plus recognition, you've been doing this for a while, and this is really an opportunity for us to learn from one another, encourage one another, and problem solve together, kind of like what we do with our participants, right? We have that conversation that goes on, and we learn so much from that. So I want to know what's going well with your programs and what are your current needs. So unmute yourself and let's join in this conversation. Anybody want to start with us? You're all quiet. You were like, I thought I was just going to listen to this. I didn't think I was going to have to say anything.
Well, I'll say something. This is Barb Gordon. And
hi, Barbara.
Hi. There's construction going on below.
Oh, I think you're on mute.
Oh, am I on mute still? Oh, you know what? I'm probably not. Oh, no, it doesn't say I'm on mute.
Yeah, I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Let's see.
I can hear you as well.
I should have you all on audio. Let me see if I can do anything from here. I show you're unmuted on my end, Barbara.
Yep.
Oh, you can hear Barbara and I cannot hear. Oh, that's not good.
Well, maybe Andrea, why don't you kind of give
Okay,
her
let me check
our-
one thing on my audio here.
Dorothy, can you hear? No.
Yeah, I was thinking you could talk. I was just gonna say we haven't started.
Dorothy, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yay!
Okay.
All right. I was like, how is this going to be effective if I can't hear you?
So, Andrea Jeffrey, who's also on the phone, we're both with the ISU Meridian Nutrition Clinic, and we have not started yet.
Okay.
We're in the administrative phase of things with a goal to start in February. We ran into an interesting barrier, which was we couldn't get a room at ISU.
Oh.
Anyway, but I think we've overcome that, and hopefully next week we'll know for sure. And then we
Okay.
can start our marketing with the goal of launching in February.
Fabulous. Oh, that's great. Okay, that's so encouraging. Yes, you guys are right at the beginning and being able to provide that. So the room was the only barrier that you ran into?
Yes, that's it so far. It's sort of a biggie.
It is, definitely. Yes. Okay. Oh, great. Okay, thanks for sharing that. That's so encouraging.
So this is Belen, and we are at the presenting planning stages. We haven't started the program
Okay.
at all. So I hope to, in a couple of months, see where Barbara is now.
Yay. Okay, that's exciting too. Oh, great. Anybody having any challenges that they want to talk about other than mine right now? I'm having visual challenges. Did you lose my PowerPoint?
We can still see it.
Oh, great.
This is Katie McDonald. I'm with Bingham Memorial Hospital. I'm the community education coordinator, along with the foundation and 15 other hats that I wear here. So we were running DPP in the midst of COVID. We had a cohort. We did it. They did fantastic. We hit all of our goals. They lost weight like champs. We did everything. But we didn't have enough participants at the end to meet some of our data goals to actually submit and have our data accepted. So that was kind of a bummer, but our hospital actually had a huge push for diabetes this year. So our program kind of got pushed under the rug in this huge effort for diabetes and diabetes prevention within the area, because that was our huge focus.
Oh,
So DPP was put on the back burner. So we're kind of at a stall right now. We also have DSMES at our hospital that's running at the moment. That was also pushed down. We worked really hard to get recognition for DSMES to run. That took a really long time and a lot of investment and work from people. But because of this diabetes initiative that took place, we're also at a standstill. So we have like a handful of certified, lifestyle coaches and stuff. And we just kind of got railroaded this year. Not only with our data, I mean, we had these community members and they worked really hard and they were really stoked and they loved the program. But we kind of just got stalled, and that's where we're at in this area.
So Katie, tell me, you were mentioning that they're pushing this diabetes awareness or something about diabetes, but yet the two programs that are providing resources are being kind of pulled back on. What is it that their push is then?
Well, because they have bariatric programs and they have their lifestyle, their empower programs that they're kind of pushing. So this is not something that was their focus. It was more of a segue into those programs.
Into the other programs. What do you think it would take to get this back on their radar or back in terms of support?
I don't know. Honestly, I wish I had the answer, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's something to certainly brainstorm on. I don't know if other groups have run into that issue where you've had you've kind of had lack of support's been pulled back on you. And what have you done then to go make your case, or who have you approached? Anybody had that situation where they were able to work around that? Any suggestions? Feel free to unmute and just answer. I've lost your pictures, but I have your participants there. So I don't know what happened, but anyways, I can tell you're still there. So yeah, if anybody has any suggestions, reach out to Katie or reach out to myself and I can reach out to Katie. What would be really helpful to know, because this is probably not the only time this has happened, Katie. You're not alone, where we've had our programs going or we're working on developing our programs and suddenly we lose that administrative support or some sort of support for our organizations, and we've got to get back out there and fight for that and make them known, and some of it may be a matter of trying to find other financial resources for it. So if finances were pulled out back from your organization, where can you find some of that financial support? If it's just support for the organization for promoting it or marketing, where can we go outside and find that marketing and support for that? Thanks for sharing that, Katie. That really brings up a lot of topics I think that could be discussed. Anybody else have something that they want to share? Either a struggle that they're having or some success that they've had, which would be really exciting. I love hearing about the new programs, though. That is exciting. The support that you guys have and how you're starting out.
Hi, Dorothy. Valerie in Moscow. We at Gritman already have a DPP program running. I just became a coach last month and I'll be starting a class in March. So, and I think the program's gone well.
Great, thank you for that. So excited to hear about new classes starting. How does this get out about starting new classes? How do you market this? Some of you may be having working on distance learning. And that could be, you could have participants from anywhere. How are you getting the word out about that? I'm going to try and share my screen here real quick and see if this is working, possibly. Are you able to see my screen again? Okay, great. So How about billing? I mean, that can be, I hear a lot about billing being a challenge. I'd like to hear from organizations that maybe are in the process of, they haven't billed before and they're starting to bill. What kind of questions do they have? What is it that they need? I know billing is a challenge. It may not be something you have a question on right now.
Actually, Dorothy, that's what I need a refresher course on before I go to our billing manager,
Yes.
that I remember the correct things to tell her.
Perfect, perfect. There are some great resources on billing. In fact, going back to the customer service center, there's even some short webinars on it, some handouts that you can pull. I can help get you what you need. Also, just reach out to me and say, I need X, Y, and Z. This is what I need, or I need a refresher on these things, on how we're going to approach billing with that. And certainly anybody who is a Medicare provider, supplier, also knows the challenge with billing because of the specific codes for Medicare. So definitely, but you guys starting out aren't going to be in that Medicare situation, but it would be really helpful to tell your billing department about it, and maybe within a 8 months, a year, get set up so that you're ready when you start taking your first Medicare participants. You're already set up with the billing in the system, the codes and all that in the system. So that's something I can help you with too, definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Other challenges that you guys have. I'm going to ask a little bit about, let's see if I can pop over to this other screen here. So we're going to have 3 more networking opportunities. So they are Wednesday, January 18th. We're going to have one on Tuesday, March 7th, and Thursday, May 11th. I've spread them out a little bit with different days of the week, so hopefully I can accommodate as many people as possible. But I'd love to hear what resources you need, what topics you'd like to see covered. Would you like me to do research on something? Would you like me to bring in an expert from somewhere? So those are all opportunities that we have here in Idaho. So any topics off the top of your head that you would like to see? We talked about billing, and I think I'm going to bring in some billing. So what I would do is, one of these events, there'll be a good chunk of time set aside for billing and billing codes and that information, submission with the billing claims. And it would be a good opportunity for anybody in your billing department who needs a little bit more detail on some of this, or maybe even just a refresher to cover that. So these are not just for our programs for the coaches and the coordinators. This is for anybody connected with your diabetes prevention program who might benefit from some of these resources. Other topics that you might find helpful. Reach out to me, let me know. You can reach me by email. My email is my name, dorothy.rplaza@gmail.com. You can ask any questions, you can ask for any resources, anything that you'd like to see me cover with you or help in your programs. That's what I'm here for. That's my role, is to be here to support your organizations, to provide the resources for you. I'm happy to talk one-on-one if there's some detailed information that your program needs. I'm so excited to see the programs that we have. Just a little bit of data in Idaho. So we currently have 12 active programs. Those are programs that are either in the pending stage or in full plus stage, which is really exciting. We have a couple of new programs coming on. I'm really excited about. We did over 2022 and 2021 lose some programs. I was very saddened by this. I reach out to all the diabetes prevention programs, try and connect with you all throughout the year. And there were a few that I think because of a number of circumstances, some of it is recruiting challenges. Not being able, like Katie, you were talking about, not being able to have that cohort because you just didn't have enough participants for that, for the data submission, can be a challenge. And I'm here to help you with that. We really want robust diabetes prevention programs in Idaho. I'm excited about opportunities that are coming up in the future. I can tell you right now, the state is looking at how Medicaid could potentially cover this as a benefit for their members, so they could benefit from the diabetes prevention program. I'm a part of that conversation going on. There's conversations going on in the future about how an umbrella hub organization might be able to help our programs, if that would be a benefit. So lots of exciting things happening behind the scenes you may not know about, but I'm here to support you and the work that I'm doing just to encourage these programs, you guys, to be to flourish. And so the programs that unfortunately paused or folded in 2020 and 2021, I'm working with to see if we can overcome some of those challenges too, so we can have even more programs available throughout the state. We're a big state, we're wide, we're all over the place. And so there's a big need for more diabetes prevention programs in our communities. Any final questions or comments?
So I put one in the chat box.
Oh, thank you. I didn't
And
see it. Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you know the answer or not, but I'm just wondering if
Oh, yes, yes. Many times. So the question is, can they use grant funds to pay for DAI membership? Many times that is acceptable. It depends on how your grant is written. So reach out to the person who manages your grant with you and find out if you can use those funds for that. So very, very often that's the case.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. I didn't see that. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, I appreciate your time. I want to be sensitive of that. Thank you so much for joining all of us here together as Idaho Diabetes Prevention Programs. I admire the work that you do. I want to support you in the work that you do and encourage you in that, and work to have robust diabetes prevention programs in Idaho. So reach out to me with any questions you have. I look forward to the next meeting in January on the 18th. We're going to talk about some other topics. I'll send information out on that. And please reach out, let me know what you'd like to hear or what assistance you need or what kind of encouragement you need, because we're here to encourage each other, learn from each other, and work together. So I really appreciate your time here. Thank you all so much. And you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.